Hello everyone. My name is Arlene Tricia Barbosa from BSE 3. And for today's topic, we have to discuss the major functions of special senses. First, what is senses? So when we say senses, it is a faculty by the which the body perceives an external stimulus. So, one of the faculties of sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. Yan po. Yung ating mga nararamdaman sa ating katawan, yan po yung tinatawag nating senses. Panlasa, yan, kung ano po yung nalalasahan natin, naririnig natin, nakikita natin, nararamdaman natin, naamoy natin, yan po yung mga senses natin. So, we have here the general senses of touch. It is also called the tactile, the temperature, the thermoreceptors or heat, the pressure, mechanoreceptors or movement. Yan, pain, mechanoreceptors also. But we have to focus on special senses. On special senses, we have here the smell, which is chemoreceptors or chemicals. Taste, also the chemoreceptors. Yan. Sight, the photoreceptors or light. When we say photo, means light. Yan. Hearing, mechanoreceptors. Equilibrium, yan, the balance or mechanoreceptors. So, when we say smell, yan, chemicals, yan po yung kung ano po yung mga nakakain natin, naamoy natin, chemoreceptors po yung mga yon, which means chemicals, and sight, yun po yung mga light na nakikita natin. Hearing, also the mechanoreceptors, which is movement. Yung mga naririnig po natin, mga movement po yun. Yan, also in equilibrium. Mechanoreceptors also, but it is also balance. Next is the eye and vision. 70% of all sensory receptors are in the eyes. 70%. Yan. Each eye has over 1 million nerve fibers. So ang eye natin, sa kabila also, each eye, we have here a 2 eyes, but in one eye, we have here a 70% million nerve fibers. Yan. So, protection for the eye. Most of the eye is enclosed in a bony orbit. It is made up of lacrimal or medial, ethmoid or posterior, sphenoid or lateral, frontal or superior, and zygomatic and maxilla or inferior. So, a cushion of fat surround most of our eye. Cushion of fat surround of our eye. So, we have here the accessory structures of the eye. As you can see in the diagram, we have here the parts of the eye. So, we have here the eyelids. When we say eyelids, it is a brush particles out of the eye or cover of the eye. Yan po yung ating eyelid. So, next is the eyelashes. When we say eyelashes, it traps the particles and keep them out of our eye. So, yan po yung functions ng eyelashes. Tinatrap po niya yung mga particles and keep them out of our eye. May nagtanong sa akin nung nakaraan if saan ba nagmumula yung muta or our morning glory. So, I told to him na yung muta, yan, syempre yung muta natin is dirt po yun. Dirt po yun na nangmula sa ating mata. So, bakit hindi siya natrap ng eyelashes natin? So, when we say hindi po siya natrap, yun po yung dirt na syempre hindi po agad-agad na naalis sa ating mata, at saka yun po yung natirang dirt sa ating mata na nilalabas po, ini-excrete po ng ating eye through yun nga, through morning glory. Yan. Yun po yung trabaho ng eyelashes. It trap the particles. Yan, nilalabas po niya yung mga particles na natatrap po ng ating eyelashes at nilalabas niya po ito through our eye. Next is the ciliary glands. It modified sweat glands between the eyelashes. So, it secretes acidic sweat to kill bacteria, lubricate the eyelashes. Next is the conjunctiva, membrane that lines the eyelids and connects to the surface of the eye, and it forms a seal. Secretes mucus to lubricate the eye. Ayan po. Meron po tayo ditong diagram na we have here the conjunctiva, the cornea, Sclems canal, sclera, and the corneal epithelium. Yan po yung accessory structure of our eye. When we say conjunctivitis, it is the inflammation of the conjunctiva. It is caused by bacterial or viral infection. It is highly contagious. Yan. Nakikita nyo po sa ating diagram, yan po yung inflammation of conjunctiva. Ito po yung nagkukos ng bacterial or viral infection sa ating mga mata at maaari rin po itong highly contagious. Yan po. Mataas po yung contaminate dun sa ating mata. Lacrimal apparatus. Lacrimal gland, it is to produce lacrimal fluid. Lacrimal canals, it drains lacrimal fluid from the eyes. When we say lacrimal gland, it produces the lacrimal fluid. Yung lacrimal gland, nagproproduce siya ng lacrimal fluid, while lacrimal canals, it drains the lacrimal fluids from the eyes. So, lacrimal sac provides passage of lacrimal fluid towards nasal cavity. So, nasolacrimal duct, it empties lacrimal fluid into the nasal cavity. So, we have here the functional of lacrimal apparatus. So, the properties of lacrimal fluid, it dilute the salt solution or the tears. Yan po. Yung lacrimal fluid, nagdi-dilute po siya ng salt solution through our tears. It contains antibodies. So, fight antigens, kinakalaban niya po yung mga antigens or foreign substance, and lysozyme, the enzyme that destroys the bacteria. It protects, moistens, and lubricates the eye. It empties the nasal cavity. So, extrinsic. When we say extrinsic sa labas, extrinsic eye muscle. When we say muscle attached to the outer, yan, extrinsic po yun, outer surface of the eye. So, produce eye movements. We have here the diagram of the eye, how eye move, and yan. As you can see, we have here the superior oblique muscle. Yan po yung mga iba-ibang muscle sa labas ng ating mata, yan, na nagpo-produce ng movement sa ating mga mata. Next, when extrinsic eye muscle contract. Kailan yung extrinsic eye muscle contract? Superior oblique, eye looks out and down. Out and down. Superior rectus, eyes looks up. Yan po yung mga functions ng eye muscle natin, extrinsic. Medial rectus, eye looks inward. Inferior rectus, eye looks down. Inferior oblique, eye looks in and up. Yan. So, superior, yan. Meron po tayo dito yung diagram ng totoong mata. Yan. So, the right orbit with eyeball and extraocular muscles from above, the roof of the orbit has been removed, and the superior rectus and the levator vertebrae superiors have been severed. Yan po. So, naka-label na po siya. Yung ating mga parts ng eye dyan. Yan, naka-number din po. So, next na po tayo, which is the structure of the eye. So, the eye wall, structure of the eye, the wall is composed of 3 tunics. The fibrous tunic, which is the outside layer, choroid, middle layer, and sensory tunic, which is the inside layer. When we see the fibrous tunic, it is the sclera, white connective tissue layer, and seen anteriorly as the white of the eye, semi-transparent. Yan po yung ating fibrous tunic, the sclera. It's seen anteriorly as the white of the eye. Yan po, at saka isa po siyang semi-transparent. Yan. Also, in fibrous tunic, we have here the cornea. When we say cornea, it is a transparent central anterior portion, and it allows for light to pass through, refracts, or bends slightly, repairs itself easily, and the only human tissue that can be transplanted without fear of rejection. Yan po, yung cornea. Transparent central anterior portion. Yan. It also allows the light to pass through, which is the refract or bending of light. Repairs itself easily. Yan. So, the only human tissue that can be transplanted without fear of rejection. So, kuwari, example na lang dito is yung katarata. Yan. Inooperahan po yung isang patient ng katarata because of, yan po yung ating, dahil po dun sa cornea po nila, parang nagagasgasan ata, hindi po ako sure, but, yan po, they are transplanted without fear of rejection. Parang sanay na po sila na, tinatransplant po nila yung cornea without fear, nang walang halong takot. Yan po yung diagram ng ating mata. We have here the iris, the pupil, and sclera. So, as you can see, the pupil, it is our black eye here. The central black eye. Choroid layer, blood-rich nutritive tunic, and pigment prevents light from scattering or opaque. It blocks light from getting in and has melanin. Modified interiorly into two structures, the ciliary body or smooth muscle contracts to adjust the shape of the lens. The iris, it is a pigmented layer that gives eye color or contract to adjust the size of the pupil and regulates entry of light into the eye. Yan po yung iris. Yan po yung kanyang function. It contracts to adjust the size of the pupil and regulates entry of light into the eye. When we say pupil naman, it is a rounded opening in the iris. Next, sensory tunic or the retina. Contains receptor cells or photoreceptors. Yan, photoreceptors, sabi ko nga sa inyo, photoreceptors, yan po yung light. Yan po yung nakikita ng ating mga mata. And also, we have here the rods and cones. Signal pass from photoreceptors via a two-neuron chain. We have here the bipolar neuron and the ganglion cells. We have here the diagram of the eye. So we have here the cone sensitivity. There are 3 types of cones. The different cones are sensitive to different wavelengths. The red or the long, the green is a medium, blue is a short, and color blindness is the result of lack of one or more cone type. So how do we see color? To see any color, the brain must compare the input from different kind of cone cells and then make many other comparisons as well. So the lightning fast work of judging a color begins in the retina, which has 3 layers of the cells. Signals from the red and green cones in the first layer are compared by specialized red-green opponent cells in the second layer, and these opponent cells compute the balance between red and green light coming from a particular part of the visual field. Other opponent cells, when the compare signals from blue cones with the combined signals from red and the green cones. So, color blindness. When we say color blindness, ito po yung parang example ko na lang po dito is yung pinsan ko. Siya po isang color blind patient. Yan. Ang pag tiningnan niyo yung isang bagay na color, parang ano ba yung nakita niya? Red. Red po yung color, but she can see the object with the color pink. Yan po yung nakikita niya doon sa, parang iba yung paningin niya pagdating po doon sa isang kulay ng isang bagay. So, it is an inherited na mamana that is transferred on the sex chromosome, the 23rd pair, the 6th sex-linked trait. It occurs more often in males. So, kadalasan pong nangyayari itong colorblind sa mga kalalakihan and cannot be cured or corrected. Hindi po siya nagagamot at hindi rin po siya naitatama. Comes from a lack of one or more types of color receptors. Most are green or red or both, and that is due to a lack of red receptors. As I can say lately, yan, lack of red receptors, and another possibility is to have the color receptors missing entirely, which would result in black and white vision. Yan. Etong color blindness test plate, ito po yung pag pupunta kayo ng isang optical na clinic, yan. Ititest kayo ng ganyan. Kung ano yung nakikita mo, anong kulay, anong number, ganyan. Ganyan na ganyan. So, meron tayo ditong 8, 45, 29, 56, 6, and 25. So, we have here the lens. Biconvex crystal and light structure. Held in place by a suspensory ligament and attached to the ciliary body. And it also refracts light greatly. So, internal eye chamber fluids. Watery fluid found in chamber between the lens and the cornea. Similar to blood plasma and helps maintain intraocular pressure. Excuse me. And it provides nutrients for the lens and cornea, the aqueous humor. And also reabsorb into the venous blood through the canal of Schlemm. Yan. Vitreous humor. It is a gel-like substance behind the lens and keeps the eye from collapsing, lasts a lifetime, and it is not replaced. Lens accommodation. Light might be focused to a point on the retina for the optimal vision. The eye is set for distance vision over 20 feet away. 20 over 20 vision at 20 feet, you see what a normal eye would see at 20 feet. 20 out of 100 at 20, normal person would see at 100. The lens must change shape to focus for closer object. Myopia or myopia. It is a nearsightedness. Yan. Or myopia is difficulty of the seeing object at a distance. Myopia occurs when the eyeball is slightly longer than usual from front to the back. And this causes light rays to focus at a point in front of the retina rather than directly on its surface. So, concave lenses are used to correct the problem. Yan, nearsightedness. Yan. Malapitan. Hyperopia. Hyperopia or farsightedness. It is when light entering the eye focuses behind the retina. Hyperotopic eyes are shorter than normal, and hyperopia is treated using the convex. So pag nearsighted naman, yun po yung concave lens. Yan, tinitreat po niya yung nearsightedness through, kinokorek po niya. Yan, kinokorek po niya yung nearsightedness through concave lens, while hyperopia is treated using a convex lens. Yan. If the image is focused at the spot where the optic disc is located and nothing will be seen, this is known as the blind spot. There are no photoreceptors there, and as nerves and blood vessels pass through this point. So we have here the fixation point. Photoreceptors of the retina, optic nerve crosses at the optic chiasma. The optic tracts, thalamus or the axons form optic radiation and visual cortex of the occipital lobe. So the eye reflexes, internal muscles are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. The bright light causes pupils to constrict through action of the radial or the iris and ciliary muscles. Viewing close object causes the accommodation. So the external muscle control eye movement to follow the object voluntarily controlled at the frontal eye field. So viewing close object causes the convergence or the eye moving medially. In youth, sa mga kabataan, the lens is transparent. Yan. And hardened jelly-like texture. So, as we age, habang tayo tumatanda, it become increasingly hard and opaque. Yan. So, yan po yung ating, yan. Kung nakikita po ninyo, we have here the diagram of lens and the cataract. Yan. As you can see sa lens, yan po yung malinaw pa, transparent talaga yung ating mga mata. Habang tayo tumatanda, nagkakaroon po yan ng hard and opaque. Kung nakikita nyo po dito yung meron po siyang parang ilaw po dun sa ilalim ng isang ating lens. Yan. So, the normal unclear lens. The lens clouded by cataract. Yan, parang nakikita nyo, pero meron na siyang ulap, parang ulap na yung nakikita natin sa ating mga mata dito sa ating cataract, pag mayroon ng cataract ng isang tao. Yan. So, maobserbahan mo yung mata ng isang tao kung may cataract siya or wala, catarata or wala. Kasi ang pagkakaiba po nun, ang normal na mata ng isang tao ay clear, transparent po yung ating lens. While yung catarata naman, parang meron na siyang cloudy na yung lens natin. Meron na po tayong mga nakikitang cloudy dyan. Next, cataract cause vision to become hazy and distorted and eventually cause blindness. So, yung catarata, it cause vision to become hazy and distorted at pwede itong mauwi sa blindness. So, ang risk factors nito is the diabetes. Kung may diabetes kayo, risk factor po yun. Madalas, yun po yung nagiging side effect ng diabetes po sa nagiging epekto ng diabetes sa isang patient ay ang catarata. Exposure to intense sunlight. Kapag na-expose kayo sa masyadong maliwanag na sunlight, kuwari sa araw, yan nagkakaroon po kayo ng catarata. Heavy smoking, yung mga sobra sa paninigarilyo, yan po yung mga risk factor na nagkakaroon ng isang patient ng catarata. So, current treatments, yung mga kasalukuyang gamutan sa ating catarata, surgical or removal. Yan, replacement lens or implants or specialized glasses. Yan lang po yung current na treatment sa catarata sa ngayon. Yan. So, it occurs when the drainage of the aqueous humor is blocked. Wait, asa na ba? Yan. And fluid back up, pressure on the eye increases, and compressing the retina and the optic nerve. The glaucoma causes pain and possible blindness. Also, ito rin po palang glaucoma. Pwede rin, it causes the pain, pagkakirot or anuman pong sakit yung nararamdaman natin sa ating mata, pwede rin po itong mauwi sa ating pagkabulag. So, progresses slowly and painlessly until the damage is done. So, mabagal po yung, mabagal at wala po tayong nararamdaman habang sinisira niya yung ating mga mata. So, tonometer is used to test the intraocular pressure. Tonometer po yung ginagamit na pag-test sa intraocular pressure. Glaucoma is commonly treated with eye drops. Yan, siguro yung eye mo, eye soap, yung mga ganyan na mga patak-patak na eye drops that increase the rate of drainage. Dagdag ko lang po doon sa cataract. Si Lola is may cataract, yung lola ko po. Then, nagpa-check siya sa isang known hospital sa Maynila, which is a medical city. And, natitreat din naman po yung kanyang cataract. Though yung kanyang cataract is mild lang siya, hindi pa po siya ganoon ka, parang nag-uumpisa pa lang. So, ang ginawa nila is drop. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, dahil masyadong malayo ang Maynila, nagtingin ako sa San Carlos Eye Center. Yan, doon po ako nakakita ng kanyang patak, which is the tawag pa doon, diquafasol, kung hindi ako nagkakamali. So, the laser or surgical enlargement of the drainage channel can also be used. Yan. An ophthalmoscope is an instrument used to illuminate the interior of the eyeball. So, ophthalmoscope po yung instrumento na ginagamit para sa interior of the eyeball. Conditions such as diabetes, yan. Risk factor din po ng glaucoma is the diabetes, arteriosclerosis, and degeneration of the optic nerve and retina, and can be detected to examination with the ophthalmoscope. Yan, ito po yung ophthalmoscope na ginagamit po sa pagtitest ng interior of the eyeball. Yan, ophthalmoscope. Ito po yung nakita ko doon sa test na ginawa kay nanay. Yan, so ginamitan po pala siya ng ophthalmoscope para makita po yung mga nerve doon sa ating eyeball. At doon nila madidetect kung may sakit po ba yung patient na catarata, glaucoma, ano ba yan, myopia. Yan. So, we have here the ophthalmoscope camera. Yan. So, next senses, special senses is the ear. So, houses two senses, the hearing, yan, interpreted in the auditory cortex of the temporal lobe. Equilibrium or balance, it is interpreted in the cerebellum, which is the part of the brain. So, receptors are mechanoreceptors. Mechanoreceptors, ito po yung mga movement. So, different organs house receptor for each sense. So, anatomy of the ear, we have here the diagram of our ear. The inner or the internal ear, middle ear, outer or external ear. So, outer external ear, yan. As you can see that it is divided into 3 areas. Yan. It involves in hearing only. Structures of the external ear, which is the pinna or the auricle, and it collects sound. External auditory canal, or the channels sound inward. The external auditory canal, the narrow chamber in the temporal bone, through the external auditory meatus. It is lined with skin. Cerominus or the wax glands are present, and it ends at the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. So the middle ear or tympanic cavity, it is an air-filled cavity within the temporal bone and only involved in the sense of hearing. We have here the middle ear or tympanic cavity. Two tubes are associated with the inner ear. So the opening from the auditory canal is covered by the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. So the auditory tube connecting the middle ear with the throat, or also known as the eustachian tube. So it allows for equalizing pressure during the yawning or swallowing. This tube is otherwise collapsed. So bones of the tympanic cavity, we have here the three bones: spandic cavity, the malleus or the hammer, incus or the anvil, stapes or the stirrup. Yan. Mga bones ng ating tenga. So, the functions of the bones of the tympanic cavity, it vibrations from the eardrum move the malleus or the hammer. These bones transfer sound to the inner ear. It is also known as the osseous labyrinth. It is a twisted bony tubes. It includes sense organs for hearing and balance. Yan. Vibration of the stapes, push and pull on the membranous oval window, moving the perilymph through the cochlea. So, the round window is yan, putol. Hindi ko man nabasa. Inner ear or bony labyrinth, a maze of bony chambers within the temporal bone or the cochlea. Upper chamber is the scala vestibuli, the lower chamber, vestibulae, semicircular canals, yan. Organ of Corti, it is located within the cochlea, receptors or hair cells on the basilar membrane, yan. Organ of Corti, it is a gel-like pectoral membrane, is capable of bending hair cells. We have here the mechanism of hearing. The vibrations from sound waves move pectoral membrane or pass through the endolymph fluid, filling the membranous labyrinth in the cochlear duct. So the hair cells are bent by the membrane. And action potential starts in the cochlear nerve. So the signal is transmitted to the midbrain for auditory reflexes and then directed to the auditory cortex of the temporal lobe. So, continued stimulation can lead to adaptation. So, over the stimulation to the brain makes it stop interpreting the sound. So, receptor cells are in two structures: vestibulae, semicircular canals. Organs of equilibrium has two functional parts: the static equilibrium in the vestibule, the dynamic equilibrium in the semicircular canals. Next, we have here the functions of maculae. When we say maculae, it is a movement caused othelids to bend the hair cells, or the gravity moves the rocks over the pools and the hairs.